This movie is outrageously, offensively bad. You could make a case that it's like the worst film ever made.
100% must be rage baiting, because I don't believe there's one person that truly believes Revenge of the Sith to be the worst movie ever created. I can understand that you have problems with Revenge of the Sith as a movie. Maybe some of the quirky dialogue, maybe some of the CGI, maybe some of the storyline that's going on, but overall you can't call Revenge of the Sith the worst movie ever created. That is insanity in my opinion. Has this guy ever seen The Rise of Skywalker, or maybe, well, let's say one of the new Marvel movies? Hey, what's up dudes, today your boy GenNot is coming back with a new video on my channel. Hope you're excited for it. So today I want to talk about a person that recently had a really bad take about something, and it is Matt Walsh. If you don't know who the guy is, well, he's a conservative figure online. He mostly talks about politics, but sometimes he's talking about pop culture / movies, and this time he was talking about Revenge of the Sith and was basically saying that this is the worst movie he has ever seen, the biggest piece of garbage he has ever seen in his entire life. And obviously we don't allow that type of disrespect on the channel, and I even made a poll asking what is the favorite prequel movie in your opinion, and everyone is voting for Revenge of the Sith. I do think Revenge of the Sith is just overall a pretty solid movie, and actually a pretty great Star Wars movie in my opinion. It's definitely not the worst movie ever made, and Matt Walsh is definitely acting that way, so I just wanted to cover it because this is just not allowed. The prequel hate was 15 years ago, it needs to stop, so let's get started.
This movie is outrageously, offensively bad. You could make a case that it's like the worst film ever made.
100% must be rage baiting, because I don't believe there's one person that truly believes Revenge of the Sith to be the worst movie ever created. I can understand that you have problems with Revenge of the Sith as a movie. Maybe some of the quirky dialogue, maybe some of the CGI, maybe some of the storyline that's going on, but overall you can't call Revenge of the Sith the worst movie ever created. That is insanity in my opinion. Has this guy ever seen The Rise of Skywalker, or maybe, well, let's say one of the new Marvel movies? Those movies are much worse than Revenge of the Sith. Let's be honest here. At least Revenge of the Sith had an original story. George Lucas wanted to tell something, the fall of Anakin Skywalker, manipulation of Palpatine and the Senate. He wanted to tell an entire story. He was creative. That is something you don't see with newer movies. Don't say that Revenge of the Sith is the worst movie ever created. He must be high or something. I mean, he's not high because he's a conservative, but I think that's an insane take to be having, legit saying that Revenge of the Sith is the worst movie, and everyone is just smoking him in the comment section, basically calling him out. I haven't seen one positive comment agreeing with him. Someone is saying, I certainly like this movie more knowing that Matt hates it. I mean, that's kind of funny. Everyone is basically calling him out. The ability to speak doesn't make you intelligent. I mean, I do agree with that. This is why Anakin turned to the dark side. It is just comment after comment basically calling him out.
Now Star Wars fans, and they really wanted to see the third film in the prequel series in theaters, which has just been re-released, and so I agreed. And after suffering again through the entire 9-hour runtime, or what felt like it, I can confidently say that Revenge of the Sith is even worse than I remember, like a lot worse.
That's interesting. Most people would say the opposite, especially after the sequel movies. People started appreciating the Star Wars prequels more because at least they had a story going on from episode 1 to episode 3. George Lucas wanted to tell something, which obviously, you know, looking at the sequel movies, there wasn't a story that was going on in the trilogy. It was just one movie after another movie with new directors. It was just a big mess. I think we all understand that after seeing those movies, but I guess he's legit acting like it's some type of torture to be watching Revenge of the Sith.
I remember it as a boring, miserable film, but I guess I had blocked out many of the details, subconsciously attempting to save myself from reliving the trauma. This movie is outrageously, offensively bad.
And bruh, there's so many worse movies you can be watching instead of Revenge of the Sith. If you really think about it, I'd rather watch like Revenge of the Sith like 50 times than watch like a new Marvel movie nowadays.
You could, and I'm not saying this for effect, you could make a case that it's like the worst film ever made. And sad to say, it's competing with more than one other Star Wars title for the top of that list.
No, you just cannot make a case for Revenge of the Sith being the worst movie ever created. You're legit the only person thinking like that, especially if you take a look at your own comment section. I don't know what his issue is with this movie. I don't know what type of trauma he had when watching this movie. Maybe he needs to talk to like a therapist or something. I don't know, man. He definitely has a personal issue with Revenge of the Sith. I don't know what's going on with that. He's obviously trying to rage bait and trying to get clicks because he knows probably that the prequel movies now have a big fan base. I mean, 15 years ago you probably could say something like that and people would agree with you, but nowadays the people that actually watch those movies and now are adults are protecting the movies because they actually enjoyed them growing up.
Everything about it is bad, except the score. The score is pretty good, but not enough to rescue the film. If John Williams made a score for a video of a dog taking a dump, it would be slightly more entertaining than it would have been without the score, but it would still be a dog taking a dump. And this film is the cinematic equivalent of that.
I'm honestly kind of shocked that he's finally saying something positive about Star Wars. Must have been really hard for this dude to be saying something that's actually good about it, but he's saying, oh yeah, I actually enjoy the music, it's pretty epic. And I think even the biggest Star Wars haters cannot hate the music because it's just too epic, let's be honest here. Everyone likes Across the Stars, Battle of the Heroes, Duel of the Fates, obviously the Darth Vader music. There's so much good music inside of Star Wars. I do think the sequel movies are a little bit weaker, but I do think there's still some good stuff. But yeah, I think we can all agree Star Wars is epic music. Even this guy agrees with it, so let's continue.
I must reiterate, the dialogue is atrocious. George Lucas, it would seem, has never heard humans speak. He writes dialogue like I imagine an alien would write dialogue if the only thing he knew about the human race he learned by watching daytime soap operas. There is not one moment where the script reaches even like a C grade. It is the worst dialogue I've ever heard in a mainstream Hollywood film. It is shockingly bad.
Look, I said this before, I think some of the dialogue is really rough, but that doesn't make it the worst movie of all time, and I personally think some Marvel movies have worse dialogue than Revenge of the Sith, if we're gonna be honest here with you all. But it does make sense in the story, some of the dialogue. For example, the cringe dialogue between Padme and Anakin does make sense because they're young lovers, they're gonna be talking really cringy. I think we can all understand that. Look at your first girlfriend and how you talk to her. Obviously the dialogue is gonna be really weird and obviously cringy looking back at it, but yeah, it does make sense in the story of Revenge of the Sith, the dialogue to be a little bit more cringy, especially the young love kind of dialogue between Padme and Anakin. It does make sense in the context of Star Wars and Anakin and Padme, but I kind of understand that some people may dislike that or think it's really cringe.
So just to give one infamous example, in a scene early in the film, Anakin, played with the charisma of a metal folding chair by Hayden Christensen, goes up to Padme, played by Natalie Portman, and says, "You're so beautiful." And then Padme responds, "That's because I'm so in love." To which Anakin says, "No, it's because I'm so in love with you."
I just knew he would use that. I legit could predict the future. I could feel it in my balls because it's something that prequel haters have used again and again. The dialogue between Anakin and Padme saying it's horrible, this and that. And I can understand it's cringe, but what I said before, it does make sense in the context of the story. Anakin and Padme are young lovers. Go take a look at the dialogue you had with your first girlfriend and it's gonna be really cringe. Let's be honest there with each other. And he's obviously referring about the dialogue that Padme and Anakin had in Revenge of the Sith, saying it's horrible, this and that, but I don't think he understands the entire situation. He doesn't understand that obviously Anakin and Padme are young lovers and they talk that way. I don't know why he doesn't understand that. I guess he's never been young himself or something. But having said all of this, what are your thoughts on Revenge of the Sith? Leave it all in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video, press the like button, helps with pushing the algorithm. Get subscribed if you want to get notified, and I will see you all in the next video.